Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, May 22nd, 5:26 a.m. Central Time. Grain markets are higher this morning. July corn futures up 3.5 at 461.5. July soybeans up 4 at 12.40 and a quarter. July Chicago wheat up 13 cents at 7.10 and a quarter last trade. July Kansas City wheat up 13.5 at 7.15. July spring wheat up 10.5 at 7.49 and a quarter. Let's start off with this weather.
Severe weather impacted parts of the Midwest on Tuesday. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds authorized a proclamation of a disaster emergency for 15 counties across the state. Several tornadoes touched down near Des Moines. Search efforts were still underway on Tuesday night in order to account for all who may have been impacted. The rainfall associated with the event was heaviest in Iowa, eastern Nebraska, and southern Wisconsin. Minnesota and eastern South Dakota were also impacted.
This is an unfortunate situation, of course. Heavy winds, damage, a couple of fatalities, the way that it looks as it relates to crop production, production prospects, all that stuff. I think it's probably safe to say that the drought in Iowa is over, if it wasn't over already. These are some pretty heavy amounts. If you guys are looking at the screen here, over the last 72 hours, and most of this was in the last 24, but there were parts of Iowa that caught 4 or 5 inches of rain, and there is more rain on the way. The rain is going to return Thursday and into Friday. You're talking another 2 or 3 inches of rain for some of these same parts of Iowa that just saw 3 or 4 inches over the last 72 hours. So the conversation has very much shifted from, oh my gosh, we've got a drought in Iowa, to, oh my gosh, it's way too wet in Iowa. And I don't know what the implications are. You guys tell me, drop me some stuff in the YouTube comments. Is there going to be replant in your area? Is there going to be prevent plant in your area? Do you think that planting was done in less than ideal conditions in a lot of areas? And if so, is that going to have an impact on final yield prospects? And the rain, the forthcoming stuff and the past stuff, it wasn't just Iowa. There's more rain coming for Illinois, for Missouri, for Kansas, Nebraska, Wisconsin, parts of Minnesota. It's going to be pretty widespread here the next 5 days. Looks to be a little bit of relief in the 6 to 10 day outlook. And this is all just kind of guesswork, when you go out that far. But the government maps at least favoring odds of below normal precipitation. So I think that the row crop markets may be supported here until we know a little bit more about just exactly what's going on with the weather. Is there going to be prevent plant? Is there going to be replant? What's the deal? USDA provides us with their next acreage update on June 28th, I believe.
China may have purchased at least 2 cargoes of U.S. soybeans in recent days. The exact volume of the shipments is unknown. However, a European trader reported that the 2 shipments were about 65,000 metric tons and purchased for July delivery. Chinese purchases of old crop U.S. soybeans have struggled this year. Additionally, for the first time in 19 years, China has yet to purchase any new crop U.S. soybeans. Instead of U.S. beans, China has increasingly relied on cheaper soybeans from Brazil. In recent weeks, however, Brazilian export prices have increased because floods in Rio Grande do Sul have disrupted the soybean harvest. Prices are also on the rise as Brazil's prime export season draws to an end.
This is not fresh news. I heard about this on Friday and then again Monday and Tuesday. Reuters reported on it yesterday. If the numbers that were rumored are correct, 65,000, that's not enough to trigger a flash sale. In order to trigger a USDA flash sale, you need to see a one-off sale of 100,000 or higher. And we did not see that. To be clear, U.S. soybeans out of the Gulf are still not competitive or even close to being competitive to China versus Brazil. But beans out of the PNW apparently are, if these rumors are true. So is this going to be the beginning of some big Chinese buying campaign? I wouldn't bet on it, but crazier things have happened.
So if you guys haven't checked out our premium content, you need to do so. Joe, can you tell me about some of your recent videos?
One of my favorite guests, Steve Johnson, the GOAT of crop insurance. He's the greatest of all time. He was on yesterday, and we talked about crop insurance as it relates to a couple of things. Prevent plant, forward marketing, and also crop scare events. So like crop insurance is not really, it shouldn't be called a marketing tool, but you can use your crop insurance as something to kind of pivot off of as it relates to marketing. And we discussed that, how, you've got guaranteed bushels that you can sell into crop scare events. Prevent plant's a little bit different. We talked about that also. This was like a 25-minute talk with Steve. He's absolutely fantastic. Every Sunday this summer from now through, I think like mid-July, Pete Meyer is going to be doing Sunday pre-open weather updates for us. Weather is bar none the biggest driver of prices in June and July when it comes to row crop markets. And every Sunday night before the open, Pete's going to talk about the weather, what's changed, what is his thought on the market. Are we going to open higher or lower? Does he have any strong opinion? This is going to be must-watch stuff all summer. I've done these every year during the summer for the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm kind of backing off a little bit, but Pete's going to do them this year, and he's going to be fantastic. If you guys want to see the premium stuff, check it out today. Go to standardgrain.com. You can sign up this morning. This is a $50 per month subscription. Cancel at any time. No other fee, no other obligation. Nobody will try to sell you anything else. If you guys like YouTube, if you like the podcast, you'll absolutely love this deal. And the premium subs are the only way that we're able to do this every day. Podcast pays us nothing. The YouTube channel pays us enough to keep the lights on, basically. So the only way we're able to do YouTube and the podcast every day is through the premium sub. It's fantastic information, guys. Give it a shot this morning.
Wheat futures have rallied as the Russian wheat forecast has been reduced. On Tuesday, Russian agricultural consultancy ICAR cut its estimate for Russia's 24-25 wheat crop to 83.5 million metric tons, down 10% from last season. The reduction was attributed to recent frosts along with hot and dry weather. Not only are dry conditions expected to continue to impact Russia's wheat crop, but also Ukraine's crop. Concerns over a supply shortage caused wheat futures to reach a 9-month high on Tuesday. Global ending wheat stocks this year are forecast to fall to a 9-year low.
Wheat futures across the board, all three classes of wheat that we trade on the exchanges, posted fresh highs overnight. So we're into some rare territory here, stuff that we haven't seen for months. This forecast for Russia remains less than ideal. They've got kind of a blocking pattern that's going to stay in place for at least 10 days and result in continued dryness, continued crop stress. This is a big deal, of course, because Russia is a big producer. I threw two different estimates on this chart. So I've got the USDA estimate of Russia's crop and then the ICAR estimate. And when you look at it in this context, I guess they're not that far apart. But the bigger deal and the bigger, more important chart is probably this one, that Russia is projected to be, of course, and probably still will be, the world's top wheat exporter. But you're in the midst of a crop scare event, and you guys know how this stuff works with, say, the corn market in June or July. I think we've got something similar going on with Russia and wheat right now. We don't know how low the estimates are going to fall, and for that reason, you don't know how high the prices can go. I think a lot of people would argue that we're overpriced here based on global pricing dynamics, but when you've got this big unknown surrounding the crop of the world's top exporter, crazy things can happen.
The Biden administration is dipping into gasoline reserves in hopes of lowering prices. President Joe Biden announced on Tuesday that 1 million barrels of gasoline will be released from a Northeast reserve. The gasoline will be released between Memorial Day and July 4th to bring relief to Americans as summer driving ramps up. According to AAA, average gasoline prices across the nation are hovering right around $3.60 per gallon. That's up about 6 cents from last year. Experts claim the release from the reserve will do little to bring prices down. Biden made a similar move back in 2022 when he depleted the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, causing the stockpile to fall to its lowest level since the 1980s.
To be clear, this is not the SPR. This is something called the Northeast Gasoline Supply Reserve, which was created in 2014 after Superstorm Sandy left motorists scrambling for fuel. That's what Reuters said. This was part of the law and the legislation here, was that they had to close this thing. I don't think this is going to have any material impact on gasoline prices. And this is refined gasoline. This is not crude oil. So you're going to see like your retailers, your gasoline retailers jump in and buy this stuff up, but it's not going to be enough to put a dent in prices. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, this is a political move. And maybe it is. I mean, there's an election coming up. But at the same time, you are entering the highest demand period for U.S. gasoline during the summer. So I guess it makes sense to some extent.
USDA reported multiple flash sales of corn on Tuesday. U.S. exporters sold 4 million bushels of corn to Mexico. Of the total, 2 million bushels are for delivery during the current marketing year, and the other 2 million bushels are for delivery during the next marketing year. U.S. exporters also sold 4 million bushels of corn to Spain for delivery during the current marketing year.
You're going to start to see more new crop sales of corn to Mexico, I think. If I had to guess right now, I'd say Mexico will be our largest corn buyer again next year. It's not to say China couldn't step in and do something crazy and move the needle again, but all indications are that China's going to continue to back off a little bit. What did cattle do yesterday?
They were higher. Feeders were an average of $1.62 higher. Live cattle were an average of $1.01 higher. Box beef also had a positive day. Choice ended the day at $313.02. That was up 32 cents. And select ended the day at $300.87. That was up $1.52.
Outside market's pretty quiet on Wednesday. U.S. dollar's about flat. Stocks off just a little bit. Bonds are off a little bit. Gold's down $8. Crude oil is down 39 cents. In the July WTI, it's 78.27. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you on Thursday.